Hi, Delia.
Hello, Steph. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Cold.
Cold, yes, it is cold at the moment, but sunny, which is lovely.
It's perfect. Yeah, I mean, the winter sun is just, it's wonderful.
It is really wonderful. Yes, and we're starting a new season today, which is very exciting for this
Yeah.
podcast.
New year, new season. It's January 2024 and we're doing season 7.
We are. Wow, I can't believe we've made it this far.
I know.
But happy that it's popular amongst our viewers. So we're going to keep going, guys.
Keep going.
Keep going
Indeed.
until we bore you to death. No, joking. And this series is going to be different, of course.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about TV shows and films as well, which we've been watching or we have watched.
Popular culture.
Exactly, yeah. We thought it might be interesting for our listeners to hear our opinion on different things, maybe share some interesting vocabulary as well.
Yeah.
So,
Fun for us.
it could be interesting. And today it's my turn, right?
Yeah. I'm excited to hear what you've been binging. Are you a binger?
Sometimes, yes, I do binge on series sometimes when it's too good to, stop watching, basically.
Yeah. Too good to employ self-control.
Exactly. And that's actually a really good word, like a useful word, binge, to binge.
Binge.
We often say like to binge on something. So you can binge on a TV show.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think we actually talked about this in a previous podcast, if there are any hardcore podcast listeners.
It could be.
It basically means when it comes to TV programs,
Yeah.
if you binge watch something, it means to watch a large amount of them in a small town. In small town? Sorry, a small time.
I like
A
that.
small town. We're making mistakes at the beginning. In a short time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So usually it's so good that you just keep watching. So when it comes to
Yeah.
the end of one episode, you just keep going, basically, and watch
Yeah.
the next one and the next one and the next one.
Whether you're in a small town or a big city.
Yes, it's got nothing to do with small towns, but I like that. It's funny.
Slip of the tongue there.
So we call this binge watching. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I do binge watch. I haven't been binge watching this one that I'm going to talk about today because it's too intense, in my opinion, to binge watch.
Okay. What is it? Sounds ominous.
Well, it's actually a really long-running British TV show that's on the BBC called Silent Witness.
Oh, yes. I watched this a long time ago when I was in uni.
Really?
Yeah, I actually have a distinct memory of sitting in my room. I was watching it on BBC iPlayer on the internet.
Right.
Supposed to be writing my dissertation. I remember I had a week to go and I still hadn't finished and I was watching it because it was really gripping.
Gripping. Yes, it is. It is very gripping. Some episodes are more gripping than others, as usual. But I watched one episode last night, and that was pretty good, I would say. Yeah.
It's pretty, as far as I know, one of the reasons it's so highly esteemed is because of the actors, right? It has, what's her face? The really famous, great actor. She's been in some real British classics. The Royal Family? I can't remember. You know who I mean?
No, I don't know who you mean, but the main actress at the moment is Emilia Fox.
I'm not sure I know who she is.
Okay. Well, they have changed over time because this...
Oh, yeah.
At the moment, we're on season 27. It came out in...
27?
I know.
Bloody hell.
So it came out in 1996, this series, and it's just kept going since then. And over time, the actors and actresses have changed. The cast have changed.
Yeah, that makes sense because it was actually nearly, 10, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
Maybe 15. Oh my God, how old am I?
That you watched it, yeah. Well, it's actually still running. There was actually an episode that was on BBC last night, and that was the very latest episode. So it's quite, still recently running.
Wow.
And yeah, each story, let's say, is split into two. So you have like part one episode. It's about an hour, and then part two is the second episode. And it's all about crime. It's a British crime series, basically.
Right.
And I think I've probably mentioned this before, either to you or maybe to students in my own lessons, that I love watching crime documentaries, crime dramas, especially if it's anything to do with true crime, like that kind of thing. I find it really fascinating how they solve mysteries. And I'm not talking about Sherlock Holmes, like that kind of thing. I don't mean do you know what I mean? I prefer something that's a bit more like real
realistic
life. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, somebody was saying the other day that for a British show to be made or a program to be made, somebody has to be murdered. Someone was saying how obsessed
what
we Brits are with, like, basically that so many of our famous programs are about crime and murder. And then I thought, it's true.
That is funny.
It's true.
Yeah, but I mean, that makes it interesting, right? Everyone's fascinated by death and murder because we have this weird curiosity inside us, I guess, for these sorts of things. It's like when you're driving and you see an accident on the side of the road, like you kind of want to slow down and look, but also don't want to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't want to, but you can't stop looking at it.
Exactly. Yeah, that sort of thing.
But it's more, I think we're also obsessed with the psychological aspect, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like, why do people do this?
Yeah.
Why don't I want to do this? How, why are humans so different?
Exactly right. Yeah, I think that's the part of it that intrigues us, is also like wanting to know, and like our curiosities peak. Like we kind of want to know, okay, like who did this? How did they do it without, getting caught? Or, how did they last this long without anyone suspecting them, etc., etc., that kind of thing. So we used a nice adjective just now, gripping, by the way. I wanted to come back to that. So how would you what would you say this means, gripping?
Well, first we should think about the physical meaning, which is to literally hold something tightly with your hand.
Yeah, if you grip something, like grip the handle of your bike, for example.
Exactly. So think about it in abstract terms. If something is gripping, it grips you. It is holding you tightly.
Yeah, it doesn't let you go.
It doesn't let you go. You can't stop watching because it is holding you tightly.
Yeah.
It basically means something is really, really good and you don't want to stop watching it, or if it's a book, you don't want to put it down.
That's right. Yeah, so it's usually used for these sorts of things, stories, books, fiction, shows. Yeah, exactly. So I'll give you for those people, maybe our listeners who've never heard of this program, I'll give you a little lowdown on what it's about. So there's basically a team of forensic experts. Forensics is everything to do with kind of going to a crime scene and finding evidence there and testing. It's a branch
of science, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, testing for evidence and also conducting post-mortems as well. Post-mortem, I don't know if this is the same word in Korean. It comes from, obviously, Latin, but we use it in English. So it basically means dissecting the body. So when somebody has died, they basically do an exam to find out what happened to that person physically.
To find the cause of death.
Yeah. Post-mortem. So that's the part of the show that I don't really like so much. It makes me feel a bit
gory.
Yeah, it's a bit gross, I would say. Because they always have to open up the chest. Do you know what I mean? So they kind of slice the body down the middle and open
up. Glad I had lunch before this.
Well, I was eating dinner whilst I was watching it yesterday and I was kind of disgusted.
Oh, mate.
When they start pulling the liver out and the heart out and looking through it. Yeah, it's a bit much. But it's also equally quite fascinating. So, yeah, they basically investigate that way. They go to the crime scene and they brush for kind of fingerprints. they often find like a tiny weeny little piece of fabric somewhere in the house
Or
that
an eyelash or
or
something.
yeah, just something really small, like a trace of something that will lead them to their conclusions, basically. So yeah, trace, that's quite a good word as well. Like, what would you say if you know, what does it mean if you say that you found a trace of that in someone's blood, for example?
I would say it's a mark or a sign, and it shows something existed or was
Yeah.
present.
Exactly. Yeah, but it could even be just a tiny little
Yeah.
bit, right?
Yeah, it's usually not. It's not often something super obvious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like a footprint wouldn't be a trace.
No. That's actually quite, you mentioned footprints. They often find, I'm always fascinated by how they find a footprint in the sand or something, and then they're able to kind of
In the
compare
sand?
it, or in the mud, or wherever the murder occurred, because it's always a murder, as you say. And they can compare it to like shoes. I mean, to me, I don't think I have the patience to look through all the kind of tiny little lines in someone's shoe to see if it compares to this footprint. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to be a special type of person to be able to do that job.
Exactly. Yeah.
Highly analytical, attention to detail.
That's right. Exactly. And then apart from the kind of case that they're studying each time, there's also this kind of like friendship between the experts, like the forensic experts. So there's actually the two main characters. They are a couple, actually. So they work together. They're a couple. But then there's a couple of other characters, and they're all kind of like connected in some way. So sometimes you kind of see them talking to each other about other things, like about their personal life and stuff. So you
Yeah.
can kind of creates a bit more of I guess more depth to the
Yeah.
characters.
Any love stories? Usually, if a program or a film can be good without there being a love arc, then it is really good. I think.
Yeah, there is some love. Yeah, there is some love.
Got to do it.
Of course. So yeah, it's on BBC, which is a very famous TV channel in the UK. You can watch it online, BBC iPlayer. I don't know how accessible it is from South Korea or
You'd
other
need a
countries, but you'd probably
VPN.
need a VPN or something. But yeah, it's great. It's a British show, so there's lots of there's English accents and also Irish, because one of the main characters is Irish from Northern Ireland. So yeah, there's lots of different accents there.
That makes sense. As there are a lot of Irish people in the UK, aren't there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So should we come back to any things? Should we do a little wrap up of any words that we mentioned today?
Yeah. I hope people were listening.
So our first one was binge watch. So we talked about binge watching a really interesting TV program.
Yeah.
We also used the adjective gripping. So you might binge watch a gripping TV show because it's so interesting you can't stop watching it. What else?
By the way, if it's an hour long, that must be very gripping, because most, at least series now, they're reduced to like 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it must be really good if you're,
Yeah.
hooked and it's an hour. So well done to the BBC.
That's true.
Our
good
next
point.
words were forensics and trace, which is a noun.
Yeah. So you could say a trace of something. So they might say, I found a trace of, I don't know, cocaine in his blood, for example, something like that.
And people might know this word from the fairly well-known phrase for something to disappear without a trace, like when ships
Yeah,
disappear without a trace. You can't find any evidence of them.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's all about my show. Do you think you're going to go and watch an episode of Silent Witness?
I unfortunately don't have a TV license,
Ah,
meaning I don't watch TV. I just watch things on the internet.
okay. So maybe next time you can tell us about something you've watched online.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not. There's some pretty not great stuff. So apologies if I complain about something.
Well, they're not always going to be good things, right? That we're talking
It's
about.
pretty hit and miss with Netflix because there's just so much available. And I don't like to read reviews because they give away the whole plot.
That's a good point.
So it's just I take a punt and
you give it a try and see what happens. Yeah.
Well, it was very interesting. It was lovely to hear about that show because I actually still remember some of the scenes from this program, which I watched, a decade and a half ago. So that just goes to show how good it is.
That's right. Yes. And I look forward to watching another one tonight.
Enjoy it.
Thank you. I will speak to you next time. Have a lovely day.
Take care.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.